I received an email this weekend from a friend that was saying that they were having connectivity problems with a device. So I looked it up, and the device requires connection to port 80, port 443, and NTP. So I wanted to go into the NetAlly CyberScope real quick and create a test profile that would allow me to see if those ports were open and if I could get out to those ports on the internet. Now, the trickiest part here is NTP. So to do that, I need to create an nMap script to do that. So I'm going to tap on nMap, and I'm going to tap on Add, and I'm going to give this script a new name, and I'm going to call it NTP. I'll give it a nice descriptive name. And I'm going to come into Options. Now, NTP uses UDP. So I'm going to say minus SU to tell it to scan UDP. I'm going to say minus PU 123 because NTP uses port 123 on UDP. I'm going to say minus PN. I'm going to have it assume that the host is up. I'm going to say minus N, and this will disable DNS resolution. I'll say OK. Next, I'll come into script. I'm going to tap on script. I'm going to turn that on, and I'm going to grab the NTP script. So I'm going to grab NTP info. So I'm going to grab this. I'll grab that one right there, and what that will do is that will decode the NTP info that comes back from the NTP server so I can make sure I connected to NTP. Now I'll go back. Now I want to test this before I put it into my AutoTest. So I'm going to tap on Test, and I've already gone through and worked through this, so I already have pool.ntp in here. But I could click on my little gear icon, and I could set the target as pool.ntp.org. So this way, I'm going out to a known NTP server, and I'll hit Start. So what this will do is this will run the nMap script, and it will show me whether I'm able to connect to NTP on that server. And this is just a great way to validate NTP's working. And so we come down here, and we see that it was open, and we received a timestamp back. So that's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to see. So now I have a script that will test NTP for me. So with that done, I'll come back out to the home screen, and I'll go to AutoTest. And I am going to create a new AutoTest. So I'm going to add a new wired profile. Now we could just as easily do this for wireless, but in this case, they needed to test a wired connection. So I'm going to tap on Add Wired Profile. And I'm going to call this Smart View because that's what we were trying to test. This doesn't use PoE, so I'm going to leave PoE disabled. My wired connection, auto. We're not going to set a VLAN tag. You know what? We don't need to wait for network traffic because we're connected to a switch port that doesn't have port fast enabled or port fast disabled on it. IP configuration, we'll go ahead and get a DHCP address. We'll do our DNS test, gateway test. Now, test targets. This is where I can come in, and I'll go to test targets. And I'm going to create a new test target. And I'm going to set up a TCP connect test. And in this case, I'm just going to use Google as my target. And I'll leave this at port 80. But what I'm going to do is give it a descriptive name, and I'll call it Google port 80. We'll say OK. And that's good. That's exactly what I want. So I'll go back. Next, I'll add another TCP connect test. I'm going to call this one Google port 443. I'm going to hit OK. And here, for my port number, I'm going to put in port 443. And we'll say OK. And I'll go back. Now, I'm going to select the NTP nMap test that I created. So that nMap test shows up down here. Now I could go in and say add, I could say add nMap test, and I could select NTP. We could set up another one. I could say nMap test, and I'll say NTP. There we go. I'll hit OK. And I'll go back. All right, so there we go. We've got our nMap test. We've got our Google port 443 and port 80. So this was the requirement. NTP, port 80, and port 443. So now I can go back. I'll go back again, and we're going to start this test. So when we run the test, it'll begin by connecting to our Ethernet connection. So it shows I connected at gig. It says that my connection, I connected untagged. So I'm going out and getting a DHCP address. I got that address. That's great. Next, we're going to check DNS, make sure we can resolve a DNS address. Then we're going to test Google port 80, Google port 443, and now we're running our NTP test to see if NTP is working. So again, this is the trickiest one because we don't really have a UDP test that we can run. So here, we got a response back from NTP, and it was a positive response. So it's green. We're all green. Using this test setup, I could go back in, I could connect to the connection that I'm going to connect this device to. I could run this test, and I could say definitively, all the ports are open, and we can get to NTP on there. So that's how we create a validation test to test a specific set of ports and NTP in this case for the NetAlly CyberScope.